So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Just wanted to go ahead and start with introductions. I think many of you very likely work with our agency already, but if you don't, I wanted to go ahead and introduce Lionbridge in general. So we are one of the world's largest translation agencies. We've been around for just under about 30 years, and we specialize in content creation and translation in pretty much all verticals, especially marketing and e-learning. In doing so, we've kind of learned that there's a major pain point with rolling out this sort of content to appear in the SERP specifically, and it sort of builds an arm of our business to support customers as they sort of deploy that content and making sure that they're deploying it in a way that they can get a return on, right? And so the way that we have built these webinars is to help customers with some of their toughest questions. And for us, a lot of our toughest questions have actually come in the last 2 years with deployments involving artificial intelligence, right? And so we have a lot of experience with artificial intelligence. In fact, we actually have an arm of our business that's dedicated to AI training. And as you'll hear in a lot of our discussions, we've actually built it as part of our culture, not only curiosity about artificial intelligence, but how to actually roll it out and get a return on it with our clients, right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start with some quick introductions of all of the participants, including myself, and a discussion that'll help establish sort of how Lionbridge has landed on these particular processes, workflows, and tools for not only our own internal SEO, but also for our clients, and how we have tested and decided to use AI in those workflows to sort of enhance the entire process. So we're going to tell you, about these tools that we built. We're also going to tell you why we built those tools, what they do, and sort of some of the benefits you can hope to get from using those. In doing so, we're also going to kind of walk you through why this workflow tends to be the best from having done these sorts of rollouts for hundreds of clients. So we'll tell you about that process and about those tools. And what we're also going to do is, try to wrap it up with some information about, our culture in general, right? And so first, before we do that, I want to go ahead and walk you through sort of what you're seeing as you are kind of joining the webinar. Again, thank you everyone for joining. The middle of the webinar, obviously, you're going to see our slides. So we try not to talk from the slides, but of course, slideshows are very helpful. So it's going to be a visual representation of what we're talking about. So, slides are in the middle. On the left, you can see all of our faces. And right below that, you should be able to see our interpretation tool that we're using. You are actually able to hover over icons and get live translations in the language that works best for you. So very cool feature. Feel free to play with that and use it. Also, at any point in time, you can actually use the Q&A, which is right below the PowerPoint. Feel free to ask questions at any time. We will have a Q&A session right at the end where we answer your questions. So feel free to light us up with questions. We love that. This is actually the second in our SEO Bytes series. The first one was actually an AMA with Brendan, who I'm actually about to introduce. So again, ask questions anytime. And again, thank you all for joining. I want to start quickly with some quick introductions on who we all are. I am Jesse Hollett. I'm marketing operations with Lionbridge. And the reason why I'm going to be your moderator today. And the reason why I'm kind of doing that is I've had lots of discussions with Brendan and Phil, who are our speakers for today. And, in those discussions, we learned that there is a large sort of disparity with how to actually use AI, how to get a return from it with our clients. And we want to sort of address that in the realm of SEO. So who are Phil and who are Brendan? Well, Brendan, some of you may remember him actually from, not only from consultations, that he's done as you guys have worked with us, but also from our previous webinar. Brendan has 15 years of SEO experience and 15 years of data experience. He's been around for a long time. And in the last few years, a lot of that has been pointed specifically towards utilizing and getting a return on AI, building tools that make use of the technology and enhancing his current workflows to sort of lean into it. Phil Kennedy also joins us. And Phil's a great speaker. He is the director of operations, and so he he supports customers from the content generation side, working in tandem with the localization side of our business. He's done that for nearly 20 years, so lots of experience here. And he has a background, of course, in technical documentation. So really great resource to have here. Brendan and Phil, do you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Brendan Walsh. I'm our SEO subject matter expert. Work internal teams, work with external teams, consult with clients, that kind of thing. Been working on AI really just since the start of this year.
Fantastic. And Phil, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hi, everyone. Phil Kennedy. So I've been with Lionbridge now for nearly 20 years, Director of Operations. I oversee teams that support our customers around 3 sort of verticals, covering technical documentation, e-learning creation, and then also marketing and sort of copywriting, content, digital creation. And then we work hand in hand with the language side of the business to offer that full content solution to our customers.
Very good. So, how we're structuring this webinar is we're going to start with a quick little discussion amongst all of us that's going to set the stage for what you're about to see. We're going to talk about these tools, these workflows that should help you sort of enhance the SEO that you're already doing, and then we're going to wrap up with a Q&A. So remember, feel free to fire in those questions as we're talking about these tools, and any questions are fine. So just go ahead and get them in there. With that, Brendan, I wanted to kind of point the first question to you. For the last year or so, you've been pretty earnestly testing AI's use specifically, for SEO, not only for our site but for our clients. And I guess my main question is, in your experience and in your tests, what's been the highest return activity an SEO team can do using AI right now? Because I think it's a big question a lot of people are thinking.
Well, I think for most SEO teams are, using AI on a daily basis, as it stands, whether it's for content ideation, research, content creation, that kind of thing. And even, within our own industry, AI is used for, translation and that kind of thing. So, AI is already useful. Where we've found it particularly useful is, QA, quality assurance, making sure that from an SEO perspective, we're producing high quality content with keywords in the right places, and making sure that everything is, of a high standard across multiple languages. It's particularly useful for that. It's also particularly useful for, content creation, as I said, and optimized content creation, optimized trans creation. And those are things that we're, already capable of using AI for in a production manner, if that makes sense. And the other thing that has been particularly useful for, I think, this past year for myself and as well, has been code creation. So as you're kind of prototyping and working on new processes and trying to make them work and that kind of thing, writing the code to run those processes and to prototype and test those processes, it's been very useful. Where it has struggled, I think, is the other side of it. I mean, the downside of AI from an SEO perspective, obviously, you want it to be able to do everything, and you start out the year thinking it's going to do everything, and then it struggles in certain places. So where it's particularly struggled has been, we say, keyword injection. So keyword, kind of incorporating keywords into the original text or into the translated text for non-English. It struggles with that. It gets too creative. It gets, when you just want to just do a little piece like this, it just wants to do too much. The other area where it's not really useful because it doesn't feel like the outputs are data-based is in keyword research. So keyword research for us is still very much a manual process. But, it's useful throughout the whole SEO content lifecycle, I suppose. But, in some areas more limited than others.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. And I think it wraps up a lot of, those people, in the call, which I'm sure many of us, have been playing with SEO, have sort of noticed, perhaps, and you bring up transcreation, which I think is really, really interesting. I think we're going to talk a lot more about that later in the webinar. So, everyone kind of stick that in the back of your brain because it's a pretty interesting topic. And when we start talking about what AI is good with and what it's not so good with, I think that starts to bring up questions about scale, right? And when we start talking about scale, I think you specifically, you ultimately landed on building out custom tools, not only yourself, because, of course, Python, which is why you brought up the code building thing, which is funny to talk to you about that. But you started building out custom tools specifically with our dev team as well. Because when we talk about managing global SEO projects, I think we often talk about really complex rollouts, maybe lots of spreadsheets. And I think a lot of times sort of that's like herding sort of digital cats, you know what I mean? Can you talk first about, some of the difficulty workflow-wise of using SEO at scale, given how complicated it can be, and given how complicated the workflow can be with the current tools that exist?
I suppose, well, our SEO workflow is particularly, it's quite complex. There's a lot of toing and froing, from a review perspective, both internal reviews and client reviews. So, automating that and kind of, a certain amount of automation in that. And with AI, you're kind of thinking, well, AI is going to take some complication. Automation is going to take some complication out of the process. But in reality, because we're trying to produce really high quality content and because we believe that we still need a high level of human oversight, actually what AI is doing is it's adding in an actor. It's adding in a layer of complexity to try and incorporate a new tool, but a really useful tool that ultimately within the process is going to save time, but actually from a workflow perspective probably adds a little complication. So from our perspective, most of what's available at the moment in the wider market would be around creating an article at a time, ideation and that kind of thing, one article, one language at a time, but that's not really Lionbridge. Lionbridge is consistency across multiple articles. It's the ability to create in multiple languages at the same time. And I think that's where the tools that, not that my team have been developing, but one of the tools that we're incorporating into our SEO processes is particularly powerful at. We need to be consistent and we need to have human interaction because, as I said, we need that oversight. And also that's obviously one of Lionbridge's strengths is our community and the fact that we have the ability to call on people from different areas, different specialities, different languages, different markets, and get the right person to review the outputs that AI have given us.
Yeah,
I think that might have been a little bit overcomplicated of an answer, but
no, I think it's good. I think when we start talking about AI, I think it's easy to simplify it probably, but I think the true question is probably a little bit more complex. And I think one person that probably can answer that probably better than anyone is you, Phil, right? And Phil, I'm sure you're going to talk a lot about some of your work. Specifically, regarding AI with clients on all sorts of projects. But Phil, I wanted to ask first, when you talk to clients specifically about their current experience using AI, how deeply would you say that large organizations have begun to integrate AI into their workflows? Are they still trying to find use cases? Are they curious? Are they confused? Are they getting a return? Can you talk specifically about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think a lot of the customers we're talking with and we see from sort of large enterprise level, I think they're still at varying levels around this, and majority we're seeing are still, from a content perspective, at least they're in that sort of curious investigative phases. They maybe have done some minimal levels of testing or to the point they're looking at specific sets and not necessarily at the enterprise scale requirements that this technology can provide to them. So, we're supporting numerous customers with the sort of around the consultation and ideation of those use cases and how they can apply technology and AI to help them to help them move forward really and see what sort of opportunities they can benefit from with the new technology and the different technologies within the market. I think there's still a fair level of confusion and the pace of the technology change and the AI advancements. I don't think that's really improving the situation or helping people with sort of what seems like daily, weekly updates. But it's sort of, where we can come in with our focus and our experience around the content solutions and language and the sort of technology within those realms and those workflows. And it's provided real sort of engagement and support for those customers, which has been positive.
Yeah, no, and that's a great answer. I mean, I think largely, at least from my perspective, and I'm not client facing, but I think a lot of the confusion, at least for me, comes from how physically, what is the workflow, what is the process, what does it look like, and then eventually, how am I going to get a return on this, right? And I think probably everyone on this call can probably attest to, SEO is a great use case for AI. So, that being said, Brendan, you want to take it away? You want to start talking about some of the stuff that you've been working on in the last year?
Sure. Do you want to wind on to the first slide? Or the first... Oh, yeah, actually, I can do that, can't I? Okay. So this slide really, I mean, we've already touched on this a little bit, is about the culture of AI within Lionbridge, particularly in this last 12 months. We've kind of really just embraced AI in a big way. And it's not just, the dev team who are creating, these lovely tools. It's across the board. We have these weekly meetings where we kind of share bits and pieces, and the amount of people, from India, from China, from Europe, from America, all creating, discrete little kind of, macros here or a piece of code there, or, and it's just amazing to see everything come together. So from our perspective, every employee has access to our internal sandbox, which is a secure Azure environment, which, gives us access to OpenAI GPT models all the way up to 4.0. Every person in the company has, an AI goal, and I mean, part of my goal was SEO automation, and just seeing, what we could do around that, and really, I mean, it's been an incredible year from a Lionbridge perspective to see the amount of creativity, the pent-up creativity and ability that's available within, a language organization, not necessarily, a technology organization, but a language organization. And it has just been, it's been an amazing experience for the last, 12 months or so. And the solutions we're going to talk about today are, the culmination of work from, 3 different organizations within the company, coming together to do SEO. Obviously, the SEO operational team, myself with one of our developers, and then our development team who've been creating this Remix app, which Phil is going to talk about. I'm probably jumping ahead. Maybe we just skip on to the next slide. So from an SEO perspective, what has been automated, there's a little bit of text missing from this slide, but seed keywords. So from an SEO perspective, sometimes we use the term seed keywords to represent our agreement as to like what keywords we're going to use to start the research process. We have a tool which will extract seed keywords from current content. Where we did struggle was keyword research. So AI will provide the keywords, but not based on underlying data. We had great hopes. I personally had great hopes from a Google perspective, thinking Google, okay, from an AI perspective, Google's going to be on top of this, and Google's going to provide us with amazing keyword research. And initially Google did, but with the onset of Gemini, I found that the quality of keyword research just degraded, and particularly poor from a local keyword research perspective. So, if you ask it to do UK keyword research as opposed to global or English or US keyword research, it tends to just tack on UK at the end of the keyword. It's not very, it's not ideal. So keyword research was an issue. I think there's still an opportunity there in the long term from, using, we say something like the SEMrush API along with programmatical access to ChatGPT to come up with something useful. But I still think no matter what we do technology-wise, we're going to have some level of human oversight there. From a QA perspective, keyword research, the output of our keyword research, we've automated checks in place. So AI is used in the QA of our outputs of keyword research. Metadata creation, so we've got automation via our SEO app, which works well, but which still requires manual review by an SEO expert. Metadata QA, automated checks are in place. I think I mentioned earlier, keyword injection was difficult. ChatGPT is very creative and almost, too creative in places, and it's hard to kind of dial it down. And even, when you turn the creativity down to zero, it still gets creative. It still kind of hallucinates, and it drops content. So you're trying to say, incorporate keywords into existing content. It'll just delete paragraphs and things like that. It's very hard to get it to do what you want it to do. So keyword injection, or incorporating keywords into existing content, we're currently doing manually, exclusively. Transcreation, our Remix app loves doing this, and loves doing it at scale in multiple languages at the same time. So that's been developed in Azure AI and has been, is being rolled out to certain clients at the moment and is available, to new clients. And the same app is used for content creation, incorporates keywords, does multiple languages at the same time. From an SEO perspective, it is manna from heaven. And final QA, so post optimization, automated checks are available via our SEO QA app. So from an overall process perspective, there are certain steps and key steps in the process that haven't been automated, but many of the steps have a level of automation in them. But as I said throughout this, no matter what we're outputting, we're building in another level of complexity because we're adding in that human oversight and making sure that we've partners, AI human as partners rather than AI as doing this on its own and whatever. Makes sense. Okay, what follows, I think, are a couple of visuals of the inputs and outputs. So we move. So the Lionbridge SEO app was initially built, as I said earlier, built on a Python prototype to prove we could work with our current inputs. But Python isn't part of our kind of internal tool set. So very quickly, once I'd done a little proof of concept or a few proofs of concept, the IT team got involved with us and we got our own developer, German, and he kindly built this app to do the four different aspects of the SEO process we wanted to test: extraction of seed keywords, keyword research, metadata creation, keyword injection. So the interface that's been built allows us to edit prompts on the fly and kind of test new prompts. It allows us to run a file through the four different processes and edit the setup so we can edit the creativity and that kind of the temperature. So as I said, keyword research initial testing was good and then dropped off and became a process that we couldn't really use. We can use it for ideation, but we can't use it to process keywords. And the keyword injection, the optimization button there, as I said, that doesn't work particularly well. Gets very creative and also drops a lot of content. But creation of metadata is a useful output. So you can see the output there at the bottom: multilingual metadata creation in a single process. And yeah, from us, a little disappointing in the amount of our standard optimization process that we could automate initially. But I think we'll get there, and I think as more reasoning comes into the AI tools, we will get better, particularly at the keyword injection. If I'm going through these too quickly, and if anyone has any questions, please type them into the chat. Our SEO QA app was developed by our operational team in conjunction with the developer German. I've had to blank out some of this stuff because this was used for for a live project. It does various checks. Press presence of keywords, primary keywords and secondary keywords are unique, number of keywords is sufficient, checks if the keywords are in the correct language, verifies the meaning of keywords, checks for non-zero search volumes, all kinds of various different checks. So really just helping out the SEO team, making sure that they can process more content more efficiently. And yeah, it works very well and worked, yeah, really excellent development by the SEO team, and works on its own, whether it's, you know, on an AI project or not an AI project. This is just very useful for them anyway. And this then I'm going to hand over to Phil, because this is a quick view of our Remix app. Phil, do you want to introduce this?
Yeah, no, thank you, Brendan. So, you know, as we've kind of been talking about here, Lionbridge has over 25 years of experience and knowledge, and from working with and supporting customers across the content lifecycle. And over sort of last 24 months, we've been taking a fresh look at how we can deploy latest advancements with AI and around technology to really, you know, optimize our content solutions and the offerings that we can bring to customers. You know, recognizing the changes that this technology has brought to the industry around content and language. You know, we've looked at this, gone on a journey to refresh our solutions, and really align it to our future vision with scale and automation. You know, historically, content creation services have had a high human touch, and therefore, you know, they carry the associated impacts and penalties of increased time and cost for customers because of that sort of manual level of engagement and work. You know, with the shift in the technology landscape through the introduction of generative AI, you know, we're able to take a much more focused look around the dynamics of these services and solutions, and subsequently our offerings. The outcome of that and the work that the product team have been doing is, you know, this AI-enabled Lionbridge Content Remix app. It's a multilingual at source content generation application, which is backed up by our worldwide community of content and language experts to really, you know, hone in on technology and automation, but also human expertise and human in the loop. So, you know, stepping back and looking at that change in the content industry, you know, what we're recognizing and what we're seeing is a shift in our customers' needs and the sort of content landscape, increased content volume, increased speed of communication, you know, and all at the same time, you need to maintain the right relevance and the right time for that content to be with the consumers and usable by the consumers. So we recognized that need for a more product-enabled service, and that change with the Remix app enables us to deliver high-quality, personalized content in greater volumes across increased formats, and to deploy to more channels for our customers in less time. You know, some of our customers are already taking advantage of this new content solution in various workflows and for various sort of types of content. The Remix app really gives us the capability to augment our human experts and their knowledge with multilingual content creation at scale, and that's the sort of key aspect, the scale question. We're able to deliver this enterprise secure content solution with greater flexibility to meet our customers and market needs. You know, the flexibility really helps us achieve hyper-personalization of content generation, which enables us to ensure brand integrity and relevance for our customers, you know, with no impact to quality and content performance. And the flexibility of the tool enables us to integrate and deploy it across varying sort of content creation and transcreation requirements and the sort of solutions and workflows that our customers are looking for. You know, as Brendan's been talking through here with SEO and how we're able to integrate the Remix app to really automate some of that content creation and bring in the keywords and really do it with multilingual creation at source. And Brendan will go on to explain more about that in the next few slides.
Oh, well, I think the other thing we can mention here is consistency. You know, the ability to create consistent content for a client across, you know, a particular topic. You know, if somebody's looking for, Absolutely. You know, product content or whatever, different types of blog content or different types of on-page content can be produced consistently.
Articles and
Yeah.
really
I mean,
work
what
with
I
that
love
source
about this,
information to
yeah,
redeploy.
what I love about this, from an SEO perspective is, if we look at something very simple, like, a 1,500 word article, in 10 languages that I want to run through our advanced content optimization, which involves transcreation. Well, to do that, is with humans is 10 hours per language, so if you're doing that for 10 languages, that's already 100 hours of cost. And, this helps just streamline that process so much more significantly and allows us to provide higher quality content, at that advanced or premium level that we're looking at. Actually, that brings us on to the next slide. So I'm just going to move straight on. We have 3 levels of content optimization at the moment. Obviously, the standard content optimization is built out our translation services and would be our most common level of service because it's the cheapest across the 3 levels. But it's the traditional one. It's keyword research. It's incorporating keyword research into already translated content. It's making sure the SEO is layered on after the translation to make sure that translation memories are not corrupted, and it works quite well. The advanced optimization is keyword research and incorporating that keyword research into the transcreation of a source article into multiple other for multiple other markets, multiple other languages. And premium is incorporating SEO research into content creation and really providing data-driven content creation services across multiple languages. So the objective of our SEO automation, as we've talked about, is just to provide a level of automation for each of these services, not necessarily to fully automate, but just a level of automation to ensure value for money and to allow us as a team to focus on higher value work, but also make sure that as we're providing a level of automation, we're still providing that high level of quality that we've always provided from an SEO perspective. As a company, obviously we've incorporated AI into our translation process from an MT perspective over the years. So we're used to working with AI, but as AI improves, it's bringing an increased level of sophistication and allowing us to do this transcreation and content creation at scale. So in the standard optimization process, AI is used in the QA of the outputs of our keyword research. Keyword research is reviewed by the client. With the keyword research and the source content available, AI will create the metadata. So AI is kind of available in discrete parts of our standard optimization process rather than across the board. We've kind of discussed that from a keyword research perspective, not being particularly useful. So the keyword research is manual. The QA is automated. There's obviously a client review step halfway through from a research perspective. And we still need, our resourcing to do the keyword research and to incorporate the keywords into the final outputs. But AI is used from creating the metadata and validating the contents. So, not a whole lot of savings, but creating the metadata is actually a significant part from a cost perspective of this process. So, creating good metadata it's a skill, and it's a skill that AI is quite good at. We still require some human oversight, but it's quite good at it. So we're saving a percentage of time, maybe 25% across the board from a standard optimization perspective if we incorporate, or as we incorporate AI into the metadata parts of it. From an advanced optimization perspective, the keyword research is still done manually. Again, AI is used in the QA and the research is reviewed by the client. But with the keyword research and source content available, the SEO app creates the metadata, the Remix app transcreates the original content into multiple languages simultaneously. As I mentioned, that's like a huge saving on this process. And this was a very difficult, or has been, is still a difficult sell from an SEO perspective. Advanced optimization transcreates content to make sure it targets that market and that audience very specifically. It is a high value content creation or content transcreation kind of effort. It helps a page that resonates really well in the source market resonate equally well in the target markets. It's almost as if that content is written specifically, but with the transcreation, you're still recognizing the source and, you know, using the source as, you know, the inspiration. So this is like only for high value content, or has been only for high value content up until now, because as I explained earlier, you know, if you're a 1,500 word article across 10 markets, you're already up at 100 hours of effort. So that's what, you know, our Remix app will help us eliminate some of that cost and make this service offering much more cost effective, and yeah, allow us to sell much more of it. And my final slide is our premium optimization. So content creation by Lionbridge's Remix app using manually sourced keywords and research. So the premium optimization process, SEO resource carries out the keyword and questions research manually using SEMrush. AI is used in the QA of the outputs. Research is reviewed by the client. But here we have the SEO QA app creating the metadata, and Remix app creating original content in multiple languages for different markets simultaneously. So like it will do French, it will do Swiss French, it will do, you know, Austrian German. It will do variations on languages. It will do global languages, and it will do them all at the same time. It is well, from a cost perspective, it's an absolute gift. So I think it's something that we will be using more and more from an SEO perspective, because the value that we can provide, I think, has just gone through the roof. We can provide original content in multiple languages using human research, using humans to oversee the outputs and making sure that they're appropriate and well written, using them for post editing, all that kind of thing, and leveraging our community as well as our technical capabilities. Okay, I'm sure everyone's tired of listening to me, and I think I'm finished. So I think we're open for questions, or Jesse, if you have any questions or any thoughts.
Yeah, I've actually got some good questions. So, or at least I think they're good. For everyone who's still here, you know, thank you. I know that's it's a really dense topic when we start talking about that, but I hope a lot of that has helped sort of flesh out some of the team's thoughts on not only workflow, but some of the tools that we've actually had to create in-house, because they don't exist, to actually make this process actually doable and sort of democratize it from a content perspective, to make it so that it's not prohibitively expensive to do global SEO with AI at scale. So I hope that was really valuable for you. Again, feel free to drop any questions in the chat, but I've actually got some questions for you, Brendan, and Phil. You know, when we start talking about time in the transcreation process, especially when we're talking about translating into multiple languages, what would you say the time difference is when we're using sort of like the Remix app on, let's say you said 1,500, so I'll use 1,500 word piece of content versus the old process, which was, you know, incredibly manual. What would you say the time difference is there?
From a transcreation perspective, Phil could talk more about content creation, but from a transcreation perspective, our normal transcreation rates would be 150 words per hour. You know, so if you've got like a 1,500 word article, it is 10 hours to transcreate that for each language. So, you know, we're not saying we're going to save all of those 10 hours, because we still want human oversight. We still want, you know, post editing. We still want all of those good things involved. But from, you know, it's immediately obvious to me, like that, yeah, that's you know, a significant saving, you know. No matter how much editing has to be done afterwards, it's a big deal. But also you've got to understand, from my perspective, this is something I've wanted our clients to embrace, because I believe in the value of, you know, transcreating that content for that audience, you know, that high value content. Not every piece of content needs transcreation, but high value content needs transcreation to make it more appropriate, to make it resonate more deeply. And to be able to do that at scale is something that is just, yeah, I think the dev team have worked really hard on this Remix app, along with obviously the subject matter experts and all that kind of thing. It is magnificent, really.
Yeah. Yeah, and Phil, Brendan name dropped you, so I figured I'll pull you into it. So come here, Phil. When we start talking about the actual content creation process, not necessarily specifically regarding the translation process, we start talking about like a major human element to it, and I think especially for languages like German. A lot of the translators can actually get a little bit too literal, maybe. And Brendan, you've talked a lot about AI being extremely creative, right? And you've been saying that that's to its detriment, right? But I think when we start talking about utilizing AI for what it's good for, and utilizing actual elbow grease and the human element for what it's really good for, Phil, can you talk about how the content creation process utilizing some of these tools can actually benefit from having its own workflow with AI and human element combined?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So to start with, we work with customers to understand the content and really from the source, the source information, the different data points that they have. If we talk, say, product descriptions and maybe e-commerce, working with customers there to understand what product data do they have, what systems do they house that in, and then how can we access that data and use it. And then, we build out generator templates within the Remix app, which really takes that information, applies the right sort of prompts, tone of voice, brand, all the sort of various other sort of personalization data points we want. And then we kind of use the Remix app and the AI capability behind to generate the content and test it. And then obviously the tool has the editing capabilities to enable us to pass that off to in-language subject matter experts as well. So it's not necessarily just linguists, it's might be marketing linguists or technical documentation linguist capabilities. And they really can then review that back against the source. And it enables us to be flexible around those generator templates and using the tool depending on the type of content. So again, to Brendan's point about sort of transcreation, the value of the content, it's really an engagement with customers right back to the beginning of what's your content strategy, what are you looking to achieve from the content? You're generating it for a reason, and therefore we can put the right workflow in place for that type of content and that piece of content. So a customer might have, remix and SEO for premium for certain bits of content. They might just go for a bit of transcreation for other elements. And then they might have lots of, body content, if you want to look at it from those sort of terms, where actually we say, well, we can use Remix to create your source, if you like, English at source or whatever. And then we can put that through translation workflows and sort of use some of our, traditional MT or human translations, depending again on the customer's requirements. And then also bringing in sort of our assisted post-edit and our LLM sort of technologies around translation. And we can look at those sort of workflows for customers. So it really does provide that flexibility to engage, to understand, and then to deploy an effective solution for customers.
Yeah, and that was so cool. Thank you, Phil. I think really, honestly, the thing that kind of, for me, is the largest takeaway for what you just said is really the configurability of using these tools in tandem with the human element and AI-enabled humans, basically cyborgs. Being able to lean into each other. AI leans into human leans into AI, and really configure a workflow that's based on the content and based on the brand, and being able to really configure that to what you really need to make sure that your content isn't just being, sliced and diced. It's really a chef on the other end. You know what I mean? And I think it's just so cool. We did actually get a really, really great question. So Max says, would it be possible to see a live example of an article being transcreated, maybe just taking a Lionbridge article into other languages? So Phil, what do you think?
Can I maybe suggest an answer for that?
Sure.
Could we, Phil, do a video of that and send it out to the attendees maybe after the event? I think we're getting very close to the end. Yeah. But a video might be very useful. So if anyone is interested, we can definitely send out a video after the event and of the tool in action doing transcreation using a Lionbridge article.
Yeah, no, absolutely no problem with that.
Yeah, that'd be great. And Max, for when you get that video, just know that we also not only do we post the PowerPoint, but we actually post additional resources as well. So we'll send you probably to a landing page that not only has the technical demo, but has the webinar recording, it has the PowerPoint, and we'll also update it with some additional content as needed, usually in the weeks following. But yeah, like Brendan said, we are getting. Oh, thank you for someone thumbs up right at the end. Thank you. Well, Phil, that was you, wasn't it? we are getting right near the end of the webinar. Oh wait, actually, we had one more question come in. I would like to answer it. What's your target audience and formats? Text, articles, live web? That's a great question. Phil, what's your target audience and formats? Text articles, live webinars, video captions. What can we do this with? What modality, what format?
So, Remix app is generally around sort of more text-based articles. There is the image capabilities and sort of captioning. We really break it down. We have other AI solutions and technologies that help with sort of video captioning and live webinars that our multimedia teams, utilize and engage with. So stepping back from all of this and taking e-learning, for example, e-learning is very interesting because it generally has a lot of all of these elements. So you have a lot of text-based content. You also have multimedia aspects and elements to it, voiceover, videos, other pieces. So, for customers around e-learning and the creation and translation of e-learning, we actually deploy various elements of different AI tools. So we use Remix to help with storyboarding and creating content assets to go into the e-learning courses. We then use sort of other technologies around speech and voiceover and synthetic voice and things like that to help with other aspects there. So, really, we can cover any sort of content requirement that customers have, and we have these other tool sets at our disposal that we can pull into the process to help. So, again, going back to my previous answer, really, it's about working with customers to understand what content they have, what their content strategy is, and what they're trying to achieve with that content. What's the consumer outcome they're looking for, and then we can, pull in and apply the best workflows. And it's not necessarily going to be one tool fits all requirements. But yeah, from a target audience, it's anything.
Yeah, and so Phil, basically, any format, any modality, any audience, any content, any tone, any workflow, we've got you, right?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that's super cool. That was a great question. Those were really good questions. Yeah, thank you all for asking them. If anyone has any questions, and it doesn't have to be necessarily SEO related, if you have other questions as well, you can reach us at SEO@lionbridge.com. So it's super easy to remember. But we're also going to put it in the email that goes out. Either myself or Brendan will send it, but we're going to provide the webinar recording. We'll provide the PowerPoint. We'll provide a live technical demo, so we'll work on that. And if we can, we're also going to provide some additional resources at that time, but if not, shortly thereafter. So again, if anyone has any questions at any time, you could reach us, SEO@lionbridge.com. Happy to answer any questions. And we'll also get Phil involved if it's regarding anything that's not necessarily SEO related. So I'm happy to help with any questions at any time. Again, really appreciate everyone being here. Hopefully that was, valuable. I know it's hard to take, which is ostensibly an hour of time, especially on on hump day, to really spend some time and learn what we have sort of, learned from the School of Hard Knocks, what works and what doesn't with AI. Again, we got some, ways to reach us right there. SEO@Lionbridge. You can reach Brendan at brendan.walsh@lionbridge.com. Same format to reach Phil Kennedy or myself, Jesse Hollett. And again, really appreciate the time, everyone. It was super, super helpful. And Phil and Brendan, thank you so much. That was really fun.
Thanks, Jesse.
I hope you guys
very much appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope you all will join us on the next webinar. We'll be putting out some notifications about that. Next month's webinar is specifically regarding e-learning. So I hope you'll join us about that, AI and e-learning. And the webinar after that, is really good. I think it'll be really useful or for y'all. It is how to architect. It's basically us giving you a blueprint on global SEO, right? So what do we do? What, again, School of Hard Knocks, what have we learned from doing the same thing again and again and again for clients until it's sort of the right processes drilled into our heads. So hopefully we'll be able to distill that down for y'all. And, we went over by a little bit. I hope, everyone here, got something valuable out of this, but yeah, we'll stay on for just a little bit longer, but yeah, feel free to sign off, everyone. Thanks again.
Thanks, Jesse. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, everyone.